Matt's going to cook up a real Tebbut family favourite, whole roast suckling pig with heritage potatoes and beetroot, and for dessert, a spiced apple tart tatin.
So this is kind of like a Tebbut celebratory meal. This is the sort of thing I do every year for my daughter's birthday. Her birthday is 1st of May, so it's kind of like an introduction into sort of spring. We're out of the winter, so it's a nice excuse to get people over, get them in the garden, munching down on lots of really good food. So first of all, pig. So we need to get him in the oven. Now this pig, it's about sort of, you know, there's no dressing it up, it's a baby pig, and it's about sort of 2 to 6 weeks old. If you get over that, it tastes delicious. This is quite decadent. It's going to cost you about sort of anywhere between sort of 60 and 80 quid, but it's going to feed 10 people, you know, with lots of other sort of bits and pieces. This is quite small, so it's not going to take that long. So I reckon it's sort of a good 3 hours on a pig this size. So some good oil, and massage that into the skin. And then, very simply, I'm going to do lots of salt all over. I mean, this is not the sort of thing we used to have as kids. This is a kind of a departure for me in terms of what I used to have for birthdays and stuff. But it's something we've done for about 9 years now, every year for my daughter's birthday. And it's just a good excuse to get people over and have a nice time and sit in the garden and drink too much. And usually that time of the year, the weather's pretty good, so hence the idea of setting up lovely tables and trying to recreate that thing, you know, when you're on holiday and you have lovely sort of big tables of groaning with food and wine and stuff like that. So it's just a nice excuse, really. Right, so lots of garlic. I'm just going to chop some apples up in here. Now, these are going to cook down in about 4 hours. These are going to cook down and sort of create a sort of pulp, and then I can make a little sauce out of all the thyme, the garlic, and I'm just shoving it in the belly cavity. So that's going to steam really nicely. And in there's just some thyme and some garlic, some olive oil and some salt, and that's it. That's pretty much it. The last thing I need to do is get a bit of lemon juice over it. Now, the lemon is good for crisping up the skin, so squeeze it all over and rub it in, and then dump those in, and again, that'll create the most delicious juice. There. Okay, and that is ready. So that goes in high at about sort of 200 degrees for about sort of 3/4 of an hour, just to start the skin crisping up. And then I'm going to turn it down to about 160 and just let that fat sort of melt over it, and that goes into the flesh. It's delicious. So it's going to be in the oven for about sort of 3 to 4 hours, you know, and it should be sort of meltingly tender. Right, so to go with that, basically just anything sort of in season at the time. Obviously you need to start, so I've got some potatoes and some beetroot. So I'm going to throw all these into a tray, and the whole point of this kind of food is that it's minimal fuss and preparation, really, because there's enough going on, getting wine chilled down and getting the place looking nice and dressing the kids and doing that sort of thing, apart from worrying about what the food's doing. So there's nothing intricate about this at all. It's just good, gutsy food. So that's just some raw beetroot and raw potatoes. I've got some sliced garlic in there, some good oil, a little bit of thyme, salt and pepper. So that'll go in the oven at about 180 degrees for roughly an hour, just until both the beetroot and the potatoes soft. Just put a knife through it, it's nice and smooth.
Over 3 hours, Matt bastes and keeps an eye on his roasted pig until eventually it's ready to be served.
He's looking good. The veggies have been in for about an hour, so it's all ready to come out now. But I have to admit, this is quite a self-indulgent dish. It wasn't something that the kids aged 1 would have asked for, a little baby pig cooked on their birthday. But, you know, we used to get 1 day off a week from the restaurant, and I always wanted to sort of go for it on that day. You know, eat too much, drink too much, and really indulge myself. And that's why I started cooking these pigs. But then, as time went on, people sort of started demanding them, so that's why it's sort of become an every year event. I did try tried baby kid once, which everyone loved until they knew what it was, and they didn't like it anymore, so I didn't do the goat again. But the pig always goes down very well. Although, I have to say, the kids were always a bit squeamish about it at the start, because of, you know, obviously the head and what have you. but after a while they know how delicious it tastes, so they're good with that. So that's it. That's my piggy. Here's my veg. And then we're pretty much ready to serve. I'd leave the pig in there because you've got all those lovely juices as well. You can mop up that juice with lots and lots of bread and stuff, or just dump the vegetables in it. It'd be delicious. And like I said, there's no ceremony. It's just nice, tasty food for everyone to dig into. So that's the first part of my celebratory meal done. The veg is ready to go. My pig's looking gorgeous. Can't wait to eat him. And all I've got to do now is make my, my spiced apple tarte tatin.
So this next dish is it's a little bit more personal. It's not so chefy or restaurant-based. This is about my own personal journey of a health kick, of trying to lose weight and getting control of my own life. It's a slow-cooked shoulder of lamb. I found myself in a position where, from a health point of view, I needed to make a change. So I went down a low-carbohydrate route, and I lost a large amount of weight. For me, flavour and taste is the most important thing. If you look at rice, bread, potatoes, they're not the biggest flavours. So I thought, well, OK, I can still continue cooking, aiming for those big flavours, but I can get rid of whatever else that goes with it. I can still focus on that. So I'm going to start off with the marinade. We've got ground cinnamon, cumin, chilli powder, salt, dried mint, 4 cloves of grated garlic. Now, into that dry mix, I'm going to add the juice of 1 lemon and then olive oil. Mixing all those ingredients together. Big, punchy flavours. Then using my hands, I'm going to massage and rub all of these flavours into the lamb. And it's just going to sit in the fridge to marinate for, I mean, a minimum of 4 hours. Overnight is even better. OK, the lamb's been roasting in the oven for around about 5 hours, and that is just going to be absolutely delicious. You've got lovely, crispy, crunchy outside. It's still been nice and soft and moist in the middle. So we're going to leave it to rest, and whilst it's resting, I'm going to make a lovely sauce to go with it. So we start off with finely diced onion and sweat that down till it's nice and soft. A tablespoon of tomato puree, balsamic vinegar. Just as it's cooked out like that, I'm going to add to it beef consommé. So whilst that sauce is on and reducing down, I'm going to start removing this lamb meat from the bone. So when I'm at home, this is the point that everybody's now interested, huh? This is where Ace is going, Dada, I want some lamb. The dogs have turned up. They can smell everything's amazing. Beth suddenly asks if there's anything she can do to help. But really, we know it's because she wants to pinch a little bit of the crusty bit on the outside where all that flavour is. That is just delicious. It's a proper chef's treat, this. This is the sort of food that chefs absolutely love eating. And whilst it's beginning to soak up all those lovely juices from the sauce, fresh mint. Don't be shy. That is my perfectly cooked, amazingly tasty, slow-cooked shoulder of lamb. This is how I lost weight. I mean, come on.
I'm keen to whip up a classic Indian dish using Sheman's paste. For me, there's nothing quicker and tastier than a chicken curry with basmati rice. When you understand about Indian cookery, you really understand that they use an awful lot of onions. So we're going to take a whole onion here and chop it up. Get this on, first of all. So a hot pan, a little bit of oil, first of all. And we need to colour the onions really, really well to start off with. Now, while they're colouring nicely, we're going to get our rice on, because this entire dish takes as long for the rice to cook as the curry to cook as well. And I'm going to use some basmati rice. This is the absorption method of basmati rice. 200 grams of rice straight into our pan. Now we use 400 mils of water. Get the pan nice and hot, bring it up to the boil together with a good knob of butter.
For the perfect takeaway style rice at home, make a cartouche.
Which is basically just a grease-proof paper lid. Fold it over again. This is like when you were at school, isn't it? You do that row of men everywhere and get it wrong. It'd just be a row of badgers or whatever it was. But literally you cut that like that. So you've got a nice round circle, and then what we want is a little hole in the middle to allow the steam to come up. You've got a cartouche, easy as that.
Stick it on the top and the result, beautiful fluffy rice every time.
So the chicken, we've got 4 chicken breasts here. Cut these up into decent sort of pieces, particularly for curry. You don't want them to dry up, so don't cut them too small, but you want it to cook quick while the rice is cooking. So when the rice boils like that, we just turn it down. We're just going to allow it to gently simmer. We've got our onions there. Nice amount of colour on the onions, which is just what we want.
And now time to add Shemin's paste. Just whip off the lid and tip it in. If this recipe included the time it would take to make an ingredient like this from scratch, I'd be here for another hour.
Almost dry fry it. Then we can throw in the chicken. There's no need to colour this chicken. It's not like a classic stew or anything. You just want to basically just make sure you get plenty of flavour in there with that paste.
And now to create the all-important curry sauce. Add half a can of chopped tomatoes to the onion, chicken and paste, along with 200 mils of coconut milk. Bring to the boil and then leave to simmer for 10 minutes.
Top the curry, you can just top it with a little bit of chopped herbs if you want, but I'm going to put the herbs inside. But one thing that I love on top of curries, particularly like this, is coconut. Desiccated coconut. I just can't eat enough of the stuff. I don't know why, to be honest. It's not really an ingredient that I was brought up on as a kid. So we're just going to toast this off dry, almost dry fry it so it goes lovely and nutty brown. The smells from this are fantastic. So we take some fresh coriander, fresh mint, and this is one of the benefits by using sort of a curry paste like this. Really, you can mix and match the different flavours in. It's not a sauce that is ready-made that you throw in that you can't really do much with. This you use as a base, and you can experiment with different things. If you want more tomatoes, great, but it's entirely up to you. But we're going to throw in the mint and the coriander. And a quick tip, if you put too much curry paste in, we'll have a taste, which I probably have put too much curry paste in, to bring down the heat. And that's got a little bit in, a little bit of lime. Good, decent amount like that. Try not to use lemon as well. Lime I find much better with curries. That's fantastic. A little bit of salt. And then just to finish curry. Now, I know we're going to get people phoning in, but I love my butter. And the best curry in the world has to be butter chicken. And it's got tomatoes in there, so it's part of your 5 a day. Look at that. And then all we need to do is serve this. Lovely rice, and then we got our wonderful curry. Cooked really quick, the same time the rice is taken to cook, and then finally, we get some of this toasted coconut. And there you have it, especially where I live, because really, whenever you order curry, a takeout, it takes about 40 minutes. I've just made that in about 15. Nobody's having any of this. This is proper.
A curry to beat any takeaway in 15 minutes. Now that's magic.